You got to protect the Garden at all costs. The Rangers did that, got their first home win on Monday, and then the Knicks handled the Grizzlies on Tuesday to stay unbeaten at home. So let's talk Go New York, Go New York, Go with my guy Alex Trataros of Knicks Fan TV. Alex, what's going on, my man? How we feeling?
Brandon, I'm feeling good, man. Knicks are on a 5-game winning streak. They're defending home court, 7-0 at home. It's a great time to be a Knicks fan right now.
Great time to be a Knicks fan, man. So let's talk about this box score because it was jumping like the club last night. 33 points off 22 turnovers. They shot 55 threes and they hit 22 of them things. And then it's the third straight game where they've scored over a buck 30 in points. Give us your takeaways from Tuesday night, and are you kind of finally seeing what this team is or what this identity could be?
Well, the biggest takeaway right now for this team, Brandon, is that this team is just firing on all cylinders offensively. Mike Brown has got these guys playing decisively and quick-minded. They're not the fastest team out there in the NBA right now. They're not going to go up there, be Showtime Lakers running and gunning. But what they are doing at a high level is processing the game at a faster pace than their opponents so far. I mean, look, the last 3 games, Brandon, they have scored over 130 points. They have never done this. The last 3 consecutive games, the New York Knicks have scored over 130 points against the Timberwolves, against the Nets, and now against the Memphis Grizzlies. And some may say, oh, look at the opponents that they're playing the last two, especially the Memphis Grizzlies are not that great, and the Nets are the Nets. But hey, they're out there and they're doing it, and they're executing at a high level. I mean, 2 games, I can tell you, the last 2 games, this team has put up 77 points in the first half and hold their opponents to under 55. So they're not only playing offense at a high level, they're also playing defense at a high level and opportunistic defense. They're getting the steals, getting out in transition, and they're doing what they need to do to be a formidable team.
Yeah, and you can't help who's on your schedule right away. Like if it's a bum team that's on the schedule, you got to beat the bum team. And when we talk about like this team and how resilient that they've been at the start of the season, at one point, Alex, we saw it was tied at 30, and then they turn it on. They go on a 19-0 run. Grizzlies got close to getting in the fourth. They turned it on again. Last season, when we were doing these interviews, we talked about how they continued to play with their food and play down to their competition at time. This year, we're not really seeing that. So if you're to give the credit, who do you give the credit to? A deeper bench, the overall pace on offense, or just more consistency on the defensive side of basketball?
Look, you got to give credit to all phases of the game and of the team. That's the head coach being able to instill, what their identity is, which is a fast-paced thinking team and a very opportunistic defense. You got to give credit to Mike Brown for instilling that in this team and that they're buying in and they're playing at that high level. Then you got to go down to the players because they're executing on a night-to-night basis. All right. You said it yourself, Brandon. They're not playing with their food. And that has to go to the players as well because they're being locked in, they're focused, they understand what the mission is. They have bigger aspirations than just having the most wins during the regular season. Their aspirations are to go win an NBA championship right now. So when you look at how they're executing on a night to night basis, that looks like a team that has that is bought in together and they have a singular focus. And yeah, you got to give credit to the bench. I mean, look, you got Jordan Clarkson on this bench, another guy next to Jalen Brunson who can create his own shot, doesn't need, constant, doesn't need to be constantly set up. Right. And when you watch him out there, he's been one of the most efficient players coming off the bench. He's shooting 47% from the field right now, closing in on 50%. And this guy over the last 7 games, the last 5 or 7 games, he's in double digits. So when he's coming off the bench, he's not only scoring efficiently, he's giving you double digit efforts as well and helping you create that separation. And so, guys like him, Deuce McBride, you have Josh Hart coming off the bench now, where it seems like he's more comfortable in that role. And he's really figured himself out after having a down game against, I believe it was the Bulls. So guys are figuring out, guys are locked in. You have a deeper bench. The head coach and the coaching staff has these guys locked in. It's a credit to all 3 phases, in my opinion.
If I had a phrase where I could label the years past, the bench in years past, I would say champagne tastes with beer money. This year, you can have championship-like aspiration because the bench is truly deeper, and you're seeing that night in, night out. All right, so here's a big one. I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Alice. You got the Magic tonight, then you got the rematch against the Heat Friday to close out this 7-game home stretch. What are these two games going to tell you about this team exactly?
Look, defending home court is very important. And right now, they're undefeated. They're 7-0 at home. I'm not a big believer in this NBA where you need to have home court advantage to win an NBA championship. But when you're doing it in a convincing way, then to me, that gives me a signal saying, "Oh, home court advantage does matter to you." And maybe if you do gun for that, not necessarily saying the Knicks need to gun for that, because as we discussed earlier in the season, Brandon, I don't think they necessarily need to have the number one seed just because, they should pace themselves and get ready for April until June. But if they are demonstrating that when they're at home, they're just like knocking teams out, then you might have to change course and say, hey, we got to do everything possible to get that home court advantage. And if the Knicks are able to defeat Miami and defeat Orlando tonight, and then you talk about Friday and continue to do this in convincing fashion, then I think we have to have another conversation about maybe getting the number one overall seed in the Eastern Conference is important to this team. But as of right now, it's going to start tonight against Orlando, and it's going to be Friday against Miami.
All right, Alex, appreciate you hopping on, my man.
Appreciate you as always, my guy.